Hi, today's video is the third look at the Sirui Anamorphic adapter. I'm going to look mainly at autofocus. This is actually on my Sony 24mm 1.9T lens that I reviewed in my last video, and it's actually doing a really good job. There's only a slight bit of vignetting around the edges and it's making a very small room way too wide. But anyway, on with the autofocus test. I've got it now on autofocus, so you can see probably it's keeping track of me, but I'm gonna go over a couple of tests I did. I took it out on the streets of London and did a little bit of autofocus tests on objects, trees, a little bit on people, but not too much, just to get an idea of how it worked. I did an autofocus test on myself in my living room and just see how well it took. Something to remember with this adapter is that it has its own manual focus. This goes from 0.8 of a meter to infinity. Really, you need to set the adapter where you want it focused to, and then let the autofocus do that last little bit of leg work. So you set the focus on the adapter, and then just the odd movements can be tracked with the autofocus. These are some recordings I did running and gunning around the streets of London. As you can see here on the cherry blossom, it captures the flowers at the back of the tree, not at the front, in front of the camera. But as we go down, it catches the stump of the tree, and then as we pan to the left, you can see it latches on the people there. As I adjusted focus on the adapter, you can see now it locks focus on the blossom at the front, or nearest to the camera. I didn't adjust it in time, so I didn't quite get this in focus. Shame, it would have been a good shot. I managed to get these people in focus fine, no problem there. Simple shot, but it worked. Now this one of the boat just grabs its focus now, and it loses it, and then it grabs focus again. Could have been better, but as you can see here, it's got the focus. This didn't get the focus at all, but it was really close, so I'll give it a break on that. It now locks into focus on the pigeons. What can I say? It works. And as you can see, I move it around, pan it to the left. Everything pretty much locks into focus there, no problem at all. These people walking down here, it locks onto the guy with the beard, no problem there. And it kind of keeps tracking him. And then as I film here, it now locks onto the guy wearing the jacket and the hood. Keeps them in focus for a while. And it doesn't jump to anything else, it kind of keeps on them, and that's on the lady, I guess, on the coat on the left, and it keeps tracking her for a little while. The point is now I've focused pigeon to some buildings, locks into the background there, no problem at all. I think that's because it's set as infinity on the adapter itself. Right, this, I was really pleased to get this in focus. So you can see the guy with the fan standing on the pillar. No problem, he's in focus. Catches him well. And then you can see the guy with the AirPods and the backpack and the jacket, locks onto him for a few seconds. And then it goes back to the guy with the pillar with the fan. Right, now what I did, I actually tried the blossom again, and I moved the adapter to get that into focus. And it didn't do a bad job, looks quite good. As you can see, it's wobbling about a bit where I keep messing around the adapter to get it in focus. But where I kept it on focus, so it's to near focus on the adapter, and then if I move away from this, now that lady is out of focus. Which is really annoying, because this shot would have been absolutely amazing if I got that into focus. It's a real shame. Yeah, because that would have looked great. But it just goes to show, it depends how the adapter is set on how much focus distance you'll get on there. It does its best, but it's still a little bit out. Okay, this is where I first test the autofocus. Me standing in my living room and just moving backwards and forwards. Something I didn't do, I just left it on the manual setting or the infinity setting, and just see how it handled it. Here at 28mm on my Sigma 2870 f.2, it handled it quite well. It's a bit out of focus when I go close, but it's not a very close focus. You can see where I've shifted it slightly there, and it handles it a bit better because it's more in the focus range of where it should be. Going a bit close there, but again, it's an anamorphic adapter, so they're not made to be too close. Right, 35mm, it does change it slightly, and that could be where the focus points are on the lens itself. You can see where it goes in and out of focus. See, it's tracking me, but because of the range where the manual focus is set on the adapter, that's why it's changing slightly. It's not that perfect. 50mm seem to have the worst point. I would have had to set that just the right point, but this is way too close there. Maybe if I changed the adapter it would have been better, but it's slightly out. Now here at 70mm it's way out. Even if I'm moving backwards and forwards, you can see it's not quite right at all. And I think probably about here I noticed, oh no, this doesn't look good at all. It looks like a blurry mess. It's good if you want to do a dream sequence, but where I sped it up, I realised I changed where the focus point was, and there you go. It's much sharper now. It looks a lot better. Shame you have to see my ugly face and me waving like that, but it does look a lot better there. And that's the end of my terrible tests. My final thoughts on the adapter. It will work with autofocus, but it'll work with autofocus in a very limited way. If you want to record someone and you want to keep them in focus, you'll need to set the adapter to where that person is standing. So say they're 4 meters away, you set the adapter to 4 meters, or how many foot that is. And then if they're walking around and making small movements, then you can trust the autofocus to track them on that last little bit. But if they're moving around a lot, I would use it as more of a manual focus. So you could set your taking lens to infinity and then use the focus on the adapter itself. I'd say personally it works best with the Sirui Anamorphic lenses, and over my tests before I think it works very well with vintage lenses as well. It does work okay with autofocus lenses, but it depends on the lens. It'll work best not so much on a zoom lens as I tested it in this video, but on a prime lens such as the Sony A7IV series, which I tested quickly, or Sony primes or something like that, whether it's a Canon prime, Fuji, or whatever company you're with. I think it's a fun little adapter. For the price, you can't really go wrong with it. It gives you a wider field of view, it gives you a nice look for not much, and it's easy to carry around with you. It's a good little thing. I like it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please join me again for my next video. Like, subscribe and all that jazz. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. Bye bye.